Take a look at this sad set of steps. The wood is starting to split, there are nails sticking out of the wood everywhere, and this tread is not even attached. Not to mention that all of the stringers are rotten and won't even hold a screw. I really have been wanting to rebuild these steps for the longest time, but I didn't want to set them back on the ground. I wanted to set them on a concrete pad, and I didn't want to hire somebody to do it. I've been in construction for over 30 years. I've done everything from framing houses to cabinets to flooring, but I've never poured a concrete slab. But I have seen it done on hundreds of houses that I have built, and I've watched hours of videos on how to pour a concrete slab. So I figured, how hard could it be? So I went down to the local hardware store, bought a bunch of concrete and lumber, and I set out to tackle this project by myself. I have to say, I was pretty surprised with the results and pleased. I even put those little broom stroke thingies on there. So if you guys are interested in seeing my first DIY concrete project, then head on over to my channel and check out my last video. But today, we're here to build a brand new set of steps. So let's jump right back in.
What is up, DIY fam? You're watching Rent This Flip That. Now on today's video, we are going to be building a set of steps because the old steps, they were way out of date. So I decided to build a new set of steps. However, I have been wanting to put a concrete slab here for the longest time, and I figured, why not go ahead and do that? Then we'll have something fresh to put our new set of steps on. So today we're going to show you how to figure out how tall your steps need to be, how to cut them, and I'm gonna go through the whole process step by step. So if you got a set of steps at your house that you need to get built, then you're not gonna wanna miss this one. All right, you guys, hang tight, let's get started. All right, guys, so this first step we're gonna have to do is figure out how tall our risers are going to be. Now, I got a 6-foot level over here. That way I can set it on top of the deck and then span over top of the concrete so I can get a good height on where that last step is going to go down here at the bottom. All right, so come over here and let's take a look. That looks like 26 inches right there. Yeah, 26 and a 16th. So let's see what this side measures, and then we'll get a number, see what this number is over here, and we'll split the difference and try to come up with a good even number. All right, let's see, we got here. Look at that, 26, 26, and 26. I'm gonna go with it. All right, guys, so I have my handy dandy notebook right here where I write things down, and so our number was 26 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that down. Why? Because I'm gonna forget it later if I don't. Anyway, so here's what's going on. We know that the last set of steps that was here was 4 steps. There was actually 3 steps, but you have to count the deck as 1 step because it actually goes from here, 1, and that being 1, and then 2, and then 3. So there was actually 4 steps total, 3 on my stringers. 26 divided by 4 equals 6.5. That means that my stringer riser is going to be 6.5. Now that is if I'm doing it by 4 steps. We don't want to go over 7 3/4. I mean, 8 inches is a pretty steep step. So let's see what it would be if we was to try to go with only 3 steps. 26 divided by 3, man, that gives us 8.6. You would be like climbing a hill on that. So we're gonna have to go with the 6.5 for our riser. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this 2x12 over here marked up and then get them cut, and we'll come over here and test fit them, and we'll talk about how the treads go on and what needs to be taken off and all that. It'll all make sense in just a little bit. Anyway, 6.5, hang tight. All right, you guys, so we are over here at the Sawhorses, and I have these. Now, I have had these for probably around 10 years, and I think I've only got to use them twice. You can see they still look pretty brand new. And what are they? These are called Stair Nuts, see, because they look like a nut. And these things are made for going on a framing square like this. You just go, because today we're going to be making our rise at 6.5 inches, and we're going to be making our run at 10 inches. All right, so as you can see, this framing square has a bunch of numbers on it. There's our 10. I'm going to go ahead and mark that darker so you can see it. And then over here we have 6.5 inches. First of all, let me show you how these work. So I'm gonna set this at 10 inches. And I'm gonna set this one at 6.5 inches. And then this would go in just like this. Up against this, and this is, you start marking it like this. See what I'm saying? So I got my 10 set up here, I got my 6 set up here. I made this as a just a trial error, but I realized that I can probably get down here and utilize some of this right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it down and start over, and then I will darken it in with my Sharpie over there so you guys can see my cut line and what's actually going on.
Here we go.
So I went ahead and marked it up. I made an extra one down here because I didn't know. You always have to use the framing square to finish off what's going on, and so I may have an extra one down here. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off now so that you guys can see the actual step and what it looks like. And I'm gonna use my Sharpie, okay? So I have drawn out my very first stringer, and as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 steps, and then of course the one from here up onto the porch is going to be our 4th step. So let's talk a little bit about something with stairs that some people may not know. Here I've got a couple scrap pieces of 1-inch deck boards, which is what I have here for my treads that I'm going to be using. Also going to be using these for my riser. So let's take a look at what I've measured here, and you can see that these treads, the run is 10 inches from here to here. From here to here it's 10 inches, and from here to here it's 10 inches. However, when I go to put this riser on the front of this riser is 1 inch thick. So what happens now? We change our 10 inch to an 11 inch run. Does that make sense? But it doesn't matter, because if we butt that right here to here, now we're at 9 inches down here. So we want to make sure that we have a 10-inch run on our stringer all the way through the whole process. So let's take a look and I'll show you how we're going to achieve that. So as I said, here's 10 inches to here, but once I add my inch, it's 11 inches. But when I butt that and I go to the edge over here, we're back to 9. However, when I add my other inch back over here and I butt that to the outside, we're back to 10 inches. And that happens all the way down. From here to here, I get 10 inches. From here to here, I get 10 inches. The problem is from here to here, the problem is I have 11 inches. So how do you fix that? The way you would fix that is you come back here, right, and you're going to want to take an inch off the back of this stringer right here. I'm going to mark it up there, and I'm going to mark it down here. Now when I take this deck board, which is my riser, and I set it out here, our new mark is from here to here. And let me go around here to the front so you can see that. That gives us 10 inches. See, 10 inches right there from there to there. And of course, from here to here would give us 10 inches. Now I'm telling you that because you're probably asking, well, Z, isn't that the same with the treads? It actually is. So let's take a look at that. All these rises I made right here are 6.5 inches, as you can see, right? But if I go to put my very first tread on there and it's 1 inch thick, what happens? We now have a 7.5 inch rise, right? 7.5 inch rise. So we wanted 6.5. It doesn't matter, because when we go to put our next board down, once I butt this right here, we're back to 6.5 inches. Now, same thing happens when I go down here and I stick this here. This will come out here. We have 6.5 inches. Now the problem is this last one down here at the bottom. Once we put it on, from our mark down here, we're at 7.5 again. But we're not going to be taking one of these and setting it on the ground, right? That would bring it back up. So what do we have to do? We actually have to take an inch off the bottom of this one to make this rise back to 6.5 inches. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to mark that right now, and then we're going to get these things cut. We're going to duplicate them. We're going to get them hung up over there on the deck, and we're going to get them installed. All right, you guys hang on, and I'll check back with you. Holla. All right, guys, so now that we have the whole riser marked out down there with an inch taken off and everything, there's one more thing I want to show you. So let's take a look here. When I set this where it needs to be, this bottom part needs to be anchored into something. So the way we used to do it in framing is we used to just take and notch out a 2x4, which would sit right here, and then this could be anchored to the 2x4. The 2x4 could be anchored to the concrete. It'll set in here just like this. Does that make sense? So I'm going to leave this right here and just go ahead and mark it up. And then that will get cut out. All right, guys, we got the whole thing marked out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this first one, call it my pattern, use it to mark the rest of them, and we'll get started. Let's go. Hey, quick pro tip, make sure you guys leave the table of your saw flat as can be. That's really going to help for your steps. You don't want them to be beveled here, you know what I'm saying, on this part of it here. So make sure you keep it flat saw. All right, this is our pattern. I still have to cut this part out right here, but we'll get them cut and get them installed. All right, here we go. All right, so I had this and then I had that 2x12 left over, so I figured I'll just go ahead and put some plates underneath here. That'll give a little bit more support for the stringers. All right, so we should be 7.5 from here to here, and then once we put our 1 inch on, that'll bring us back to 6.5. So let's go ahead and mark our 7.5. All right, and then we'll mark this side. Then I'm gonna check it with a level. Oh, I love it, I love it. That's good, I'm taking it. So we got right there. I'm gonna get these stringers screwed in, and then I'm gonna cut the treads and risers, and I will probably have to make one more trip to pick up one more riser. I think I'm one short, but that's my fault. Anyway, let's get started. Let's go. All right, so it looks like we are looking good, guys, good. All right, so now all we gotta do is put this down to the concrete. I'm gonna screw it to that and then just anchor it down, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our treads and risers on. Well, you guys, I installed all these risers. It wasn't too hard. I made it flush on the end, put 2 screws per riser, flush to the top, flush to the ends. Now I'm gonna go cut the treads, install those, and call this thing a wrap. All right, let's go. Well, there you have it, guys. One set of steps and one concrete slab. I couldn't be more happier. I have been wanting this for this property for so long, and now I have it. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, help me out by smashing the like button. And I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more projects like this. I actually am about to close on a house in about 2 weeks, and there'll be a whole lot of projects going on that house over there. So you're gonna wanna see that. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. All right, guys, it is getting late and I'm getting hungry. So that's gonna do it for this one. I hope to see you on the next one. Until next time, take care, guys.